Two shows, both about heroes in suits. One is an absolute banger, and the other is, well, this shit sucks! So, why does Go-Go Loser Ranger, or Ranger Reject as I'll be referring to it, slap, while Red Ranger Isekai flops? Let's break it down together and stick around, because there's a huge twist I'll reveal at the end. So these are two animated shows based on one live-action genre, somehow ending up being complete opposites. Let's break down why both Ranger Reject and Red Ranger Isekai look kind of similar on the surface, but there's one huge difference. Ranger Reject grabs you right away. It's like, here's your classic Sentai team, color-coded heroes saving the world. But wait, what if those heroes are actually the bad guys? What if the whole thing is a PR stunt? Just a shiny corporate mask hiding something really dark underneath. Now let's talk about Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world. Yay! I guess? Red Ranger Isekai is like, you took a guy in a Sentai suit, threw him into a fantasy world, and thought, yeah, that's enough. Because there's no hook, no why, no tension, it's just, he's strong because he's the Red Ranger. That's it. That's the concept of the show, and it's paper thin. Look at this. One is playing 4D chess, and the other is just playing dress-up. See, here's the thing. Ranger Reject flips the script. It's a Sentai show about the bad guys. It makes you question who's really the hero, who's really the villain, and is that line ever really clear? Meanwhile, Red Ranger Isekai feels like some exec threw a couple of darts at a whiteboard, hit Isekai, but also hit Sentai. Okay, cool. But what's the point? See, there's no twist, there's no edge, it's just safe. Safe and boring. But we're just getting started, because the real problem with Red Ranger Isekai isn't just the concept, it's the execution. And we'll get into that right after this. So let's get real for a second here. On the surface, both shows have an iceberg effect, but if you dive deeper, Ranger Reject is like a traditional iceberg. What you see is just the tip. It's a world where the heroes are actually the oppressors. The villains, they're fighting for freedom. It flips the whole good versus evil thing on its head. But below that, you've got meta-commentary on idol culture, corporate branding, the commodification of superheroes, and a rebellion narrative that's actually kinda blending the sides of good and evil. It's about how society manipulates us into cheering for the wrong side, who profits from heroes, who decides what a villain is. Ranger Reject asks big questions, and it doesn't give any easy answers. So I've just noticed right now that you're not subscribed, and you should be subscribed, because I think like 99.4% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, and you guys are watching a lot of them, right? You're watching a lot of the video. So just hit the like button, and look, if you like Sentai, or you like anime, or you like cartoons, there's going to be way more stuff on this channel that you're not going to want to miss, because I'm so small at the moment, and you can help me grow bigger. So thanks for hitting that subscribe button, liking, and sharing with your friends. Anyway, back into the video. Where was I? Oh yes, Red Ranger Isekai's iceberg. Because Red Ranger Isekai barely tries, the iceberg barely has an underneath. It's like the writer had a checklist. Sentai suit, tick. Fantasy world, tick. OP protagonist, tick. Cool, ship it. But where's the world building? Where's the depth? Where's the lore that makes you want to wiki dive at 2 AM and frantically type Isekai Season 2 renewed question mark? And you know what? Villains matter. Ranger Reject has a villain who's literally faking weakness to take down the whole system. It's a next-level strategy among a multitude of other next-level strategies. And that's what's going on in the intense world-building of that show. In Red Ranger Isekai, the villains are just bad dudes. And not because of any complex thing happening to them in their life. They're bad because they're bad. And they gain powers to allow them to be worse. I mean, the ending villain of Red Ranger Isekai had the most backstory out of all of them, and to me, even he was still bad for a bad reason. Ranger Reject gives you a world to explore, characters to root for, and a story to dig into. Red Ranger Isekai gives you nothing to explore, and that's a problem. But just wait, because the real disaster for Red Ranger Isekai still isn't this concept or its themes. It's what I said before, the execution, the fights, the pacing, the vibe. And I think it's time we unpack that. So let's talk about the execution problem. Alright, let's talk about the part that really hurts. Like, yeah, you've got a cool idea, everyone's excited, but you blow the delivery. It's over. It's like when I try to cook at home. I'm all hyped up thinking, oh, I'm gonna make a fancy dinner like a chef, you know? 2 hours later, the fire alarm's going off, the dog's barking, and I'm eating cold chicken nuggets over the sink. That's what happens when you screw up the execution. Nobody cares about your fancy idea anymore. They just ordered pizza. You know, I think in that metaphor, pizza is Dragon Ball, but I can't promise you that. Look, I get it, Isekai is a power fantasy, that's the whole point, right? But when every fight feels like someone is just mowing the lawn, that's a problem. Like, oh wow, another generic Isekai spell animation. A magic bean that's blue. That's so creative of you. And the pacing? Oh god. Ranger Reject keeps the story tight. You get twists, reveals, and stakes, all at a fast enough pace. Red Ranger Isekai, whole episodes feel like filler. The main character walks into town, they say, wow, what's a Red Ranger? Evil guy's over there if you want a shot. And then that's the entire episode. When every episode is a victory lap, it's like watching someone get a participation trophy over and over. Here's the thing, it's not just that Red Ranger Isekai is lazy, it's that it doesn't care about earning its moments. The world doesn't feel lived in, the conflicts don't feel real, and the fights, they're just excuses to show the main character is cool. Which isn't cool. So yeah, when it comes to execution, Ranger Reject feels like a passion project, and Red Ranger Isekai feels like a checkbox. And honestly, that's the difference between a good show and a forgettable one. But let's not stop here, because despite everything, there are things Red Ranger Isekai gets right. And you might be surprised what they are. And that's coming up now. Okay. Let's not totally dunk on Red Ranger Isekai, because even if it fumbles hard, it's not all bad. In fact, there are a couple of things it does pretty well. First up, wish fulfillment. If you want to see a guy in a Sentai suit wrecking monsters in a fantasy world, Red Ranger Isekai delivers that. No real conflict, no real tension, but hey, sometimes you just want to turn your brain off. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you don't want a complicated plot, you don't want moral ambiguity, you just want to see a guy in a cool suit beat up some bad guys and win. And Red Ranger Isekai knows what it is. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel. And credit where credit's due, Red Ranger Isekai has a clean art style. The Sentai design, kind of cool. The opening is catchy enough. So even if the story's thin, it looks alright. And hey, sometimes you just need that, right? Trashy comfort anime to unwind to. Look, I'm not going to pretend like I haven't zoned out to a show like this after a long day. We've all been there, but admittedly, there are better isekai, and even real Sentai shows that you can watch. So it's really probably not trying to be Ranger Reject. That show is ambitious, it's bold, it makes you think, but sometimes it can feel dense, and a bit much if you just want to chill out. And Red Ranger Isekai isn't great, but you could definitely turn your brain off to watch it, and it still has the visual elements and themes of a Sentai show. Probably perfect for your stoner friends. So yeah, Ranger Reject, it rocks. Red Ranger Isekai, it's fine. But here's the real question. What's next for Sentai anime? Are we moving past the one-note hero trope? And let's talk about where we could go with it. I mean, we're seeing a trend with Sentai going darker and darker, more mature in anime. I mean, it's not just Ranger Reject. SSS Gridman, Dyna Xenon, even Samurai Flamenco. That could be the future of Sentai in anime. Will it follow the superhero deconstruction route, like The Boys, Watchmen, or Invincible on Amazon? We could eventually see a Sentai anime with R-rated grit. Traditionally, Super Sentai is very formulaic, but what if the future is breaking the mold? And in anime specifically, we could get more female leads beyond the token Pink Ranger. We could get queer rangers, non-traditional hero archetypes. We could see a Sentai team made up of actually diverse characters with more than two-dimensional backstories. The thing is, there's also room for Isekai and Sentai to fuse together. Red Ranger Isekai failed, but what if someone actually did it right? What if an anime took the Isekai power fantasy but challenged it to Sentai standards? A Sentai team gets transported to a dark sci-fi dystopia, where being a hero actually makes you the target. Or where their powers are less impressive to average citizens in a fantasy world, and they still have to become heroes anyway. Wherever Sentai is going in the future, whether it be saving a small neighbourhood in an intimate story, or the whole world on a larger scale, it's definitely evolving fast. The question is whether it will lose its heart along the way, or is this just the start of something bigger, bolder, and better? Well folks, I think that's a question for another video, so stay tuned and subscribe, and I will see you guys in another Yu-Gi-Oh video. Peace.